Good afternoon. I pray that your Wednesday was filled with spaces and places of joy, of happiness, of peace, that you were able to realize that it actually was Wednesday and not some other day. I know with this COVID-19 and social distancing, for some of us it's been difficult to keep up with what day is which, but you know what? Except for some very specific things that we do, does it really matter? Does it really matter if it's Monday or Tuesday or Thursday or Friday? Again, I know some of you have things that you do on specific days, but in the grand scheme of things, if you've gotten your days mixed up, it's not that big of a deal. Trust me, it's really not that big of a deal. There's a book that says, don't sweat the small stuff, and then it says, dot, 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 it's all small stuff. Now, on to our topic. We've been talking about toxic relationships, and we have begun to talk about, and here I need my glasses, if you're in a toxic relationship, whether it's with a spouse, a partner, with your children, with your siblings, with your frat, with your sorors, with your coworkers, with whoever, and you've determined that it is toxic, the question we've been looking at this week is, can we move forward? Can this relationship be healed? And remember, the first and most important caveat is both people must be willing to invest the time and the energy into the healing. Yesterday, we talked about don't dwell on the past, don't bring up past injuries constantly, work them out, and then move on. Let them die down. If they've apologized and you've talked it through, then it's time to lay that to rest and not refer back to it. The thing we're going to talk about today is view your partner with compassion. View your partner or whoever it is that you are having challenges with compassion. And for some of us, that's really, really difficult because when people are treating us or we are finding ourselves feeling some kind of way in a relationship and we have determined it's the other person's fault, sometimes it's really difficult to go to a place of compassion. It says, when you find yourself wanting to blame your partner for all the problems in the relationship, try taking a step back and looking at the potential motivation behind their behavior. And now some of you may say, wasn't that just making excuses for their behavior? Not necessarily. And sometimes it's not so much an excuse, but sometimes the reason why people do what they do is equally as important as on the path to healing it. Most of the actions that we do not come out of a vacuum. We didn't just wake up one day and decide to be mean. We didn't just wake up one day and decide to be selfish. We didn't just wake up one day and decide to be unloving or unkind. We didn't wake up one day just deciding to be mistrustful or to not being able to trust people. We did not wake up one day and just all of a sudden decide, I'm going to operate in a high level of anxiety. We didn't just wake up like that. Something happened. Hence the title of my book, The First Time, because everything has a beginning. And for some people, it may not be issues from their past. It may be their current circumstances that is contributing to why they show up in your challenged relationship in the way that they do. For some people, it could be they're having a hard time on their job. For some people, they're having a hard time because they don't have a job. And when they find themselves not being able to work, not being able to support, it makes them feel some kind of way. It may make them feel less than. But because they may not have the tools to be able to say that, it may come out as being angry or being snappy or being overly critical or even just wanting to isolate, okay? Maybe the reason why your child is behaving the way they're behaving is maybe they're really, really missing their regular routine. They're missing school, they're missing lunchtime, they're missing recess, they're missing their friends. You know, they're missing all the things that they used to be able to do so freely that they're no longer able to do. But again, they may not have the language or the cognitive skills to be able to say that, so they're acting out, you know. And let's look at your church members or your temple members or wherever you may worship or congregate. You know, people, COVID-19 has really challenged us in terms of being relational. And for some of us who may be introverted, we may not have realized just how important relationships had been pre-COVID. You know, my understanding for people who I know who are extroverts, they're having a really hard time because they feed off of the energy of other people. They enjoy that energy. And not being able to have it is leaving them feeling some kind of way. And it may result in them acting out in some kinds of ways, which may be contributing to the toxicity of you all's relationship. So to view your partner with compassion is recognizing that just as you have some things you're going through, either through your history or your present day circumstance, so do the other people who you're dealing with. You know, you're not the only one who has challenges. You're not the only one who has good days as well as bad. You're not the only one who struggles in some areas. And if your desire is to try to heal the toxic relationship you find yourself in, maybe simply understanding that, you know, for other people, for that other person, life may not be a crystal staircase for them either, you know. Maybe they're grieving, you know. Maybe they're going through a stage of their life where there's some challenges. Maybe they're getting older and they're not able to do some of the things that they were able to do before. Maybe they're looking at losing some of their independence, you know. COVID-19 has resulted in a number of deaths. I dare say I don't know anyone who has not lost someone who they know from COVID. And when I check in with some people and say, how you're doing? Oh, I'm good. But maybe they don't realize that their need to be good is circumventing their need to grieve. And if we don't allow ourselves to grieve losses in an appropriate way, if we don't allow ourselves to grieve, let's just say grieve, to give ourselves the space and time to grieve, to mourn the loss of something or someone that had been very important to us, it's going to come out. And sometimes it will come out in more negative ways that can impact the relationship with other people. So today the task is simply about being more compassionate, stepping outside of yourself. You know, there's a saying that talks about it's better to understand than to be understood. I think they both are equally important, but I want to say equally important. It's important that we understand that other people have things that they're going through. It's important for us to understand that sometimes we may be the target. They may be projecting their anger or their whatever on us, but we're not the cause. And I need to tell you in my own life, what a freeing revelation to recognize that in a very important relationship in my life, that I was not the cause of that person's behavior. I probably triggered them, but I was not the cause. I was not the first person that he had interacted with in that manner, and later on realized that I am not the last person that he interacted in the exact same way. And that freed me because for the longest, I personalized it. For the longest, I tried to fix myself. I tried to figure out how to be a better person, how to be a better partner. I tried to figure out how to change me all around so I could be acceptable. But then slowly but surely, the light bulb clicked. And it occurred to me, you know what? You can fix yourself inside out, upside down, change everything. But that's not going to change the dynamics in this relationship, because you are not the root cause of his anger. You're not the root cause of his dissatisfaction. That happened prior to me. And until that wound had been healed, our relationship was doomed. And guess what? It eventually was doomed. And I'm smiling not because, oh, goody, goody, goody for me. I'm smiling because I think that recognizing that and moving on was probably one of the best decisions for both of us, because again, as I said in the video, a broke clock is right twice a day. The relationship, there was challenges from both sides, and I can own that and accept that. But in owning and accepting that, I had to make the decision that I needed to be in a healthier environment, that I needed to practice some radical self-care, that I needed to grow in the areas where I had not grown. But in the midst of all of this, in my healing process, I couldn't stay angry. I couldn't stay upset. I had to find a way to come to a level of peace. And for me, that path was to become compassionate. To become compassionate and recognize that it wasn't all about me. It wasn't all about him, but to recognize that we both equally contributed, and to allow myself the time and space to heal so I can move on. And so I will end by saying to you all, practice some compassion. To the lady in the grocery store who may be moving too slowly, practice some compassion. To the person who's driving in front of you, who's not driving as quickly as you would like for them to drive, practice some compassion. To the person who gets on your last nerve, practice some compassion. I noted yesterday that we're going to do a book club. It's actually, I said yesterday it was going to start September the 8th, which is the day after Labor Day. I think we're going to start September the 9th, which is that Wednesday, so that I can have appropriate time to be able to do it. I have another commitment I realized on Tuesday evenings. So on September the 9th at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we're going to start a book club based on my book. In the description, there's a link so you can purchase my book. And I look forward to reading with you all. I look forward to sharing with you all. I look forward to growing and healing with you all on purpose. Love you and enjoy this day. Bye-bye.